Hello and welcome to part one of the CDO Magazine interview series. My name is Søren Lundtoft and I'm a Senior Director of Product Management at Stibo Systems. And I'm joined today by Chuck Gahun from Forrester. So first of all, Chuck, welcome. And could you start off by sharing a little bit about your experience areas and what you cover at Forrester?
Absolutely, Soren. Thank you for having me. So I have been in digital for 25 years now. I've been at this since 1999, which is absolutely crazy to think. It's crazy to think about how much digital has changed in that much amount of time. But some of my background before coming to Forrester, I worked at Sapient closely with agencies like HHS and CDC, more in the public sector, helped them design and build their digital strategies. I've worked at a healthcare agency thinking about patient experiences, payers, and providers in the US. And then most recently, I was a partner at a digital agency where we were focused on B2B manufacturing. And as you can imagine, I've led quite a few PIM implementations as part of that tenure of my career. My most recent coverage and my focus at Forrester is on content management systems, digital asset management systems, and product information management systems. I'm also now going to be picking up our commerce services research, which will give me not only the 130 WCMS vendors that I track from a product perspective, but will also give me access to SIs and agencies that are implementing it. So I think I'll probably have a very unique lens looking into not only the product side, but also the services side at Forrester. Hope that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely, and I would agree. It's just fascinating to see the depth of your experience, really, and also especially in PIM and the intersection between technology and the digital experience in general, right? Um, so on that, how would you characterize the evolution of product experiences in the market as is today?
Sure, good question. In order to get to that, though, to get to the answer, we need to back up and talk about PIM first. So PIM is an established tech category according to Forrester. And that's because we still see functionality being standardized across vendors. We see divestitures of PIM solutions. And so the product space itself is continuing to evolve. And as digital experiences continue to evolve as part of that, channels, devices, now we've even got generative AI in the mix, right? There's more and more demand on PIMs to start moving closer to the glass, which has really led to the evolution of this PIM category towards product experiences, as you're suggesting. But even
Mm.
more than that, there's a lot of growing trends in e-commerce that are dictating the need for the product record and product data to be holistic. So we're very clear in distinguishing between product data and then product information, which is really the assembly of the product data with rich media assets, with romance copy to create a fully curated product record, as you well know, and then syndicating that out to channels. So the change in e-commerce practices and the growth and adoption of that over time has also started to push the PIM solution more and more towards the glass. And that brings us to what we are seeing as the evolution of product experiences today. Many vendors and are referring to it more so than just a PIM and more, and that is becoming product experience centric. And what this really means is there's different ways to look at it. So product experience could manifest on an e-commerce website and a product detail page, but a product experience can also manifest in a below the fold experience on a retailer side, like a Walmart or an Amazon. So I think there's a lot of ways that product experiences are coming to life, but that's a little bit about the genesis and how we are tracking the evolution into product experiences.
Right, absolutely. It's an area it's happening a lot in that area right now, and I think if we look into some of your research as well that you've done in this area, you're talking about how we're right now shifting and transitioning from a traditional task-based focus where you focus on just completing the purchase in the first place towards being more outcome-driven from the business side. And this brings in the idea of the digital ecosystems. So how do you see companies transition from these more internal value chain-based models onto embracing more external ecosystems that enable these new use cases for their products and services? Maybe starting out with a specific focus on the digital ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, I think that's a good place to start orienting yourself. Digital ecosystems, they don't look for existing pipeline value chain models as an example. They're really seeking new business value by making product information, product records be available on third-party channels where the product record could be surfaced in other use cases, different applications of a backpack, as you can imagine. Hiking might be one, but there might be a lot of other ways in which consumers believe that they could use the product and the product experience that makes it come to life for them. So that's a little bit of the thinking around digital ecosystems. I would just say baseline, our research is focused around the fact that this would be consumers opting in with their data to allow some of these ecosystems to become more and more intelligent.
Right.
Which then brings us to digital experiences, right? And so from there, you think about content and data and product information. How can we take some of these static experiences that we have and which are really oriented around tasks and start looking for ways in which content can be shared for new experiences, surfacing dynamic experiences to help consumers select a product or service to achieve outcomes rather than achieving tasks. And then the ecosystem and the experiences we woven together allow us to link multiple individual experiences into a larger outcome-based scenario. Think about a travel booking between the hotel and the airfare and the transit to the hotel. So there's a lot in play that we have the ability to stitch together. And
Right.
our data shows that consumers are willing to give up more data if we make more frictionless experiences happen. So
Yeah. Can you add a little bit about some of the more technical side as well that comes to that? So maybe how the architecture that needs to power this underneath actually needs to also transition.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's an important part of the storyline. There's two parts to it. One, I would say, of the 130 vendors that I track, I can tell you that almost every single one of them is working hard to embed AI capabilities into their product. So this isn't a world necessarily where we need individual businesses to go out and start figuring out how to stand up their own LLMs and their own AI technology. But as you're thinking about that and you're thinking about the power of AI powered applications in market today, the other part to look at it is sort of the API architecture, which has been really focused for so many years around how do we fall into a legacy system and bring some of the data out and make it available for the rest of the enterprise application suite. We're seeing a pivot from that kind of thinking to more, tier-based API architecture centric, where folks are really looking to bring their business services to market through APIs. I also cover CMSs as an example, an adjacent technology to PIM, and the headless revolution in CMS is a really big thing, and that has a lot to do with the fact that businesses want to bring their content and their experiences to life through APIs rather than paying a lot for individual static experiences. So as we see the shift of all of this happening together, there is a ton of opportunity to think about the ecosystem, to think about the experience, and then power it through some of the more Gen AI focused apps that are coming into focus. But the baseline really being and the foundation being API architectures, which give business teams the flexibility to bring new products and services to market, no matter the geography, no matter the channel, no matter the device. So there's a ton of opportunity here for us to completely change how digital experiences have been surfaced. And the part of that manifests as product experiences naturally is going to be a very big driver.
Right. I think it's a very interesting angle as well. And I suspect this is not going to be the last time we're going to mention AI as part of this conversation here. I think also how pivotal a role data plays as part of AI as well, because you need to start out with the right foundation and have the right integrations using these APIs to actually be able to leverage generative AI in the right cases for those business processes. I agree with that. So maybe we should just shift towards talking a little bit about some of the more challenging areas of it, because given your extensive work and experience in this area, what do you see today as the main challenges that needs to be addressed to actually address this outcome-driven methodology for consumers?
Of course. I'll give you two things come to mind. One is maybe a really big opportunity, and one is a challenge that our customers have told us about. So I think the
Right.
opportunity is we have been coming at search, SEO, all of it a very specific way before the advent of generative AI. And consumer behavior has become to search for products and services. But as we start moving to more outcomes-based orientation, I think through product information and product experience, we firms have the ability to go after consumers where they are surfacing more of their products within consumer digital ecosystems, as I was just talking about a minute ago, right? And that presents a traditional shift in how enterprises think about content tied to product experiences, and then how is that going to service commerce needs. So I think that is one big place that we're going to see a dynamic shift over time. But part of that storyline where already businesses and consumers feel a tremendous amount of pain is personalization. And this has been a topic that has been around for, I would say, a decade easy. And we've been trying
Right.
to personalize consumer experiences. But when we talk to consumers about what their challenges are around personalization, it's that they're expecting personalization at different levels with different levels of fidelity in different parts of their digital experience, whether that is exploring a new product or whether that is me being a logged in consumer now looking for a product that is an adjacent one or looking for one that is a spare part. So there, you're
Mm.
expecting a different type and a different level of personalization at different stages of your customer journey, is what we have found. Many people probably already knew that. But the flip side of this that enterprises have been telling us, which is when we talk to enterprise clients for our research, is that it's not that content technology can't do personalization. It's more that to do personalization with our customer data and our enterprise content and our product information, which is spread out across the globe with different product owners and different content teams and different marketing teams, nobody told us how hard it would be to stitch that whole story together, to
Right.
take something as simple as a product experience, customize it, for a Chuck versus a Søren, and then deliver and make them feel valued in that experience touch on any channel, on any device. So it's been an interesting conversation. I've been working with many content vendors to help try to solve the equation for us in market, and working with consumers and their businesses as well to help solve that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I guess if you look at it from a data perspective as well, you got to start with the right data foundation as well, because in order for you to be able to recommend, for example, spare parts or related items, you need to understand what spare parts or what related items would actually fit into this. And I think it's absolutely key, as you say, you need to actually also meet the consumers where they are, right? So, for example, we have a very large sports manufacturer as one of our customers that you can imagine they produce a running shoe and they might want to promote that in a running app rather than you having to go find and browse the information. And as you mentioned earlier yourself as well, you could imagine that a consumer would be willing to share additional information to be able to actually get better recommendations and personalized results based on, for example, some of their running results and running routes, etc. So combining multiple services out there as well as part of it, and I guess it's also where Stibo Systems is coming in as a foundation for getting that data out there in the first place, and making sure that you have a single source of truth that can reach those different marketplaces and so on out there. All right. So I wanted to thank you for the first session here, Chuck, and thank you for joining me. And I wanted to also highlight that you should please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. And you also want to follow up there and make sure that you look out for part 2 of this interview series, where we're going to touch a little bit upon some of the generative AI and personalization efforts that you can do at scale. Thank you.